Hi guys, David here, and this is a brand new Cannondale Topstone Carbon. Now if you remember, a couple of years ago the company launched an alloy Topstone, a modern gravel adventure bike with clearance of wide tyres, disc brakes and all the mounts of accessories you want for gravel and bike packing adventures. Well, this year they launched a carbon Topstone which carries a lot of similarities from that alloy Topstone, but there's some key differences. Now this is a bike that the company says is designed to provide the smoothest ride and the most capable ride, whether you're gravel racing, mixed terrain riding, bike packing, adventure riding or just commuting. There's some really interesting stuff going on with this bike because Cannondale, as you might know, this company is not afraid to innovate, to do something a bit different from the rest of the industry, and this bike is no exception. Let's take a closer look, and your eye's probably been drawn to the back end of the bike, which looks a bit different to anything else we've ever seen before. So naturally, the first place to start with this new bike is at the back end because that's where all the action and innovation occurs on this new bike. And as you can probably tell, it looks very different to the alloy Topstone and very different to any other gravel adventure bike on the market. Cannondale has developed what it calls the Kingpin suspension. It comprises a specially shaped top tube, seat tube and chainstays, but most importantly of all, a through axle pivot with two bearings connecting the seat stays to the seat tube. This all provides up to 30mm of seated compliance when you're in the saddle, which not only provides more comfort with dealing with rough roads and gravel tracks, but also more traction at the rear wheel too. Cannondale reckons it's the equivalent of going up a tyre size by 9mm. If you're looking at those bearings thinking, oh my god, that's something extra to worry about, to maintain, to service, fear not. In testing, Cannondale claims that these bearings last in excess of a year with regular use. They're regular bearings, cartridge bearings, so sealed cartridge bearings like you get on mountain bike, full suspension bikes. But the real test, the ultimate test will be when I get my hands on the bike back in the UK and really put it through a long-term test. They also say that this design of the back end with the bearings and the shape of the stays is also designed to ensure there's no compromise in the stiffness of the frame, both at the bottom bracket and the head tube, which as you can see is joined by a massive oversized down tube. So when you're sprinting out the saddle or powering up a steep climb, there's no flex from the back end. This back end's not going to wag at all, especially at the bearings. And just like the alloy Topstone, the bike is versatile and well equipped with mounting points for pretty much every accessory. So you can get 3 bottles with 2 in the main frame and 1 on the down tube. You've also got 2 mounting points on the down tube for a lower position for more aerodynamics. You've got mudguard or fender mounts, I like to call them over here, on the fork and the rear stays. And you also fit a rack to the fork as well, which is not something we see on a lot of gravel and adventure bikes. That's nice to see. Also got 2 mounts on the top tube there as well. And it's an internal seat clamp and all cable routing is internal as well. And it's also dropper post compatible. The geometry is pretty much the same as the alloy Topstone and is actually very similar to the Synapse endurance bike. There are only 5 sizes compared to 7 sizes of the Synapse, but the size is roughly comparable to a Synapse. So they're going for that endurance road bike sort of geometry rather than anything more radical or mountain bike inspired like we've seen from a few other brands.
Wow. Half hour now, 7:14.
We're riding gravel, which is really one of the most favorite things that I like to do. Ted has been pretty good at doing it. You may have seen him win Dirty Kansas a couple times. Not winning Dirty Kansas recently.
Not the most recent time.
But coming out with a bike like this at a company that we both call home is something really special. So as you're riding it, you know, just know that there's a lot of miles and kilometers in these bikes from a lot of people that also love gravel.
3/4 of the way through, we'll be on Greg Hill Road, which is recently graded, which is like skiing fresh pow. So you could not be on a better bicycle for it, and we'll have some fun over there. Let's be good stewards of bicycles everywhere and go ride bikes.
I got to ride a brand new bike in Vermont over in the US. Vermont, if you've never been before, is a beautiful, beautiful place. Lush green meadows, dense woodland, lakes and rivers. One of the most beautiful places that I've been to. As we rolled out of Ted King's new house, down his driveway onto some smooth roads that made up the first part of the route, I felt right at home. The fact that it's very similar to the Synapse endurance bike means it's not as upright, not as short as some gravel and adventure bikes which are looking to mountain bikes for the inspiration, and gives a nice aggressive fit when you're on the road. Yet it's still comfortable enough that you're not too slammed, and you can easily do a long ride on this bike, as we did today. Getting off the roads onto some sweet single track gave us a first chance to really see what this bike is all about and how capable it is off-road. And where the handling was nice and stable and calm on the road, it's responsive and agile off-road. The steering is nice and light, it turns in the corners nice and quickly. We also rode the bike on some spectacular dirt roads through Vermont. Wide dirt roads with loose, fine dust, roller coastering through the woods, spectacular stuff. And gave us a chance to really see what the bike is all about, and in particular the Kingpin suspension. There's no doubt about it, this bike provides a smoother ride than most bikes in the category. You've got a seat post and a lot of flexing which you can actually see between your legs, which deals with smaller bumps really well. But when you have a bigger impact, there's definitely a sense that the Kingpin suspension is doing its job well, providing more compliance than just the bigger tyres can provide themselves. As radical as the new Topstone Carbon is, there are some really grounded details on it. So you've got mounting points for all sorts of accessories, from a third bottle cage to a front rack on the fork, and even fender or mudguard mounts, as we know them here in the UK. Also a mount on the top tube for a fuel cell as well. So it's ideal if you're going gravel racing and you want the comfort and capability of the rear suspension as well as that aggressive geometry. But if you're doing long distance rides over challenging terrain, you can make use of the wide tyre clearance, fit some racks, mudguards, extra frame packs, and the bike should be ideally suited to that sort of riding. The tyre clearance might seem conservative compared to some more progressive adventure gravel bikes, especially compared to the new open wide, but my personal preference is for a 40mm tyre or thereabouts. So maxing out at 42, you probably get wider than that depending on the tyre and rim combination. Seems a fairly well judged move by Cannondale. You can also fit the bike with 650B wheels if you go down that route, a bit of road plus all road action. That's it for a really quick first ride on a brand new Cannondale Topstone Carbon, and about as much I can tell you based on a short ride on unfamiliar roads and trails in Vermont for the worldwide launch. I can't wait to get my hands on this bike back in the UK so I can really see what it's all about and really get under the skin of this new Kingpin suspension. It's a really interesting design, a radical departure from what we've seen from all other gravel and adventure bikes. There's definitely a question mark over the durability of the extra bearings. But mountain bikes have had suspension bearings on pivots for a long time now with no issues really, so it should be a reliable design, but it's something we need to test back in the UK through all the weather we have here. But that's it for now. I'm travelling back to the UK. Thank you so much for watching. If you've got any questions at all, put them in the comment section below. And don't forget to like and subscribe as well. And I'll see you all again in the next video.